Thank you to everybody subscribing so far. We're 2 months into this and already hit the 100 followers mark on YouTube. Thank you to every single person here who has followed, liked, subscribed, shared, commented, and engaged in any way. Let's jump right into it today. Hey everybody, listen here. The economy is great. Why are Americans, though, in such a rotten mood? Well, we're over here at the Wall Street Journal by an article from Greg Ip. Let's take a look and see how great this economy really is. Well, last week we learned that the economy, far from sliding toward recession as economists had predicted over the past year, has actually picked up steam thanks to indefatigable consumers. That's a big word. Not only has economic output made up all the ground lost during the pandemic, but it also has been above where it would have been had the pandemic never happened, judging by what the Congressional Budget Office projected in early 2020. And the same goes for the job market. The unemployment rate is at 3.8%, only marginally above where it stood in January 2020 prior to the pandemic. For a while, low unemployment overstated how healthy the job market really is because so many people had left the labor force. But except for those over 64, they've mostly returned. The share of the population ages 15 to 64 with jobs topped its pre-pandemic peak in August. Cue the cheering, cue the applause. But the lingering question is, if the economy is so good, why are Americans so gloomy? Confidence readings are depressed. Here at some 69% of respondents to a Wall Street Journal survey in August said that the country is headed in the wrong direction. Uh-oh. And Biden's approval rating is mired around at or below 40%, and approval of his handling of the economy is even lower. Well, the most popular explanation is high inflation. The University of Michigan's sentiment index is at recession-like levels, and it appears to be more sensitive to inflation, in part because it asks people if they are really financially worse off. And recently, 40% of those feeling worse off blame inflation. But can inflation really be the whole story? And after all, since peaking at 9.1% in June last year, based on the Consumer Price Index, inflation has fallen to 3.7%. So what's all of the hubbub all about? And the puzzle deepens when I plot the University of Michigan index since 1978 against the misery index and the simple sum of inflation and the unemployment rate. And based on historical correlations, the sentiment has been more depressed this year than you would expect, given the level of economic misery. Interesting. We continue here that it's true for a long time that wages were lagging behind inflation, but not anymore. Workers are getting more time off and more flexibility, which is why the Conference Board finds job satisfaction is quite high. And with the federal pandemic funds, household finances are stronger more than ever, and with the housing and stock prices lifted, means your median wealth has increased over the last couple of years, the largest in the history of the Federal Reserve. And Greg says that part of the problem is that in an inflationary period, both prices and wages rise, but people dwell more on the prices and they feel worse off. The average Starbucks coffee has gone from under $3 at the start of the pandemic to $3.63 in the second quarter, according to Numerator, a marketing data company. Grocery prices have stopped going up. Right now, it's still a little bit of a sticker shock, says Steve, a chief executive from Kellanova. Yet, sticker shock alone doesn't seem severe enough to explain the profound level of economic dissatisfaction. Here are some changes to a few different indexes since the fourth quarter of 2019 prior to the pandemic here, and you'd see that everything is kind of going up in an upward trajectory, except everybody is worse off mentally than in reality. And the article concludes that I suspect a lot of pessimism about the economy is referred pain, meaning that just as one part of your body can hurt because of an injury or another, the pessimism about the economy may reflect dissatisfaction with the country as a whole. And lately there's been a lot to be dissatisfied about: intensifying political and cultural conflict and intolerance, the pandemic, the border crisis, mass shootings, crime, a war in Ukraine, and now war in the Middle East. The article wraps up to say the good news for Biden, if you want to call it that, is that people may not be as upset about the economy as they tell pollsters. The bad news is they're pretty upset about everything else. What do you think about this article from the Wall Street Journal? Drop a comment in the comment section below and let me know. But if I'm just reading this article, it looks like things are actually on the up and up. So I think it's a pretty good, positive, uplifting article to end us off here on the week. So thank you so much for tuning in today. We appreciate everything. So as always, stay inquisitive, stay informed, and stay subscribed for more. We will see you tomorrow.